Alrighty. Welcome back to the Seven Deadly Sins Anime Review, Episode 51. This is reviewing the 97th episode of the series, which is called What the Witch Has Always Wanted. Yep, that is literally the name of this episode. Yep, it's the 97th episode of the series, and we have 4 episodes left. Actually, 3 episodes left to go for the entire series. Yep. Now, we're pretty much in... Well, we finished up the final chapter of the Demon King arc, chapter 34. That's finished up in this one. And we're finally into the Chaos arc of this particular series. Now, how far did they go into the Chaos arc? Okay, they finished chapter 34 because they started it last week. They went through the first few pages, and this week they finished that chapter up, went through the entirety of 35, 36, and they got most of the way through 37. I think they all but the last 5 pages. Yeah, sounds about right. So, technically with this episode, they have done mostly almost the first 3 out of 8 chapters. The arc itself is not very long. I wouldn't be surprised though if next week we'll probably go straight to 340. And then from what I can tell anyways, looks like the epilogue is going to be the final episode of the series, which is only 2 chapters. Now, simple, this one starts off interestingly. Now, it starts off with the three main holy knights, Gil Thunder, Gozer, and Hauser, where they're just basically having dinner at a private room tavern, which they don't show them actually walking in. They cut that off from the anime. They're there and eating for a while, and of course everything's so hunky dory. And then all of a sudden Vivian shows up talking about chaos. Now you're probably thinking, wait, wasn't she apparently killed off last season? Well, here's kind of the thing. Here's the thing. Dreyfus begged Henderson to heal her. And apparently she proclaims Gother, basically Dreyfus, to be her true love. And I'm thinking, though, really? You proclaim a guy who is practically about pushing in his 40s to be your true love, even though that he's already a father to a big honking guy. Heck, I would think that Hauser might make a better boyfriend for you than the father of one of these 3 guys. Especially since this guy is probably already married. Yeah, and she says, oh yeah, Gil, we should probably break up. You 2 were freaking dating anyways. You freaking stalked him. Yep. So, oh yeah, and also they flip over their table they're eating just because she showed up. Now in the manga, they don't really show this at all. It's oh, their table just flipped over just because she's there. And the anime kept this in, surprisingly, where there's no explanation why in the world they basically, all that good food they basically probably bought or basically something made for them, and they just throw on the floor because somebody they know who's an enemy of theirs just shows up. And we cut to a party. Now, they do add a little bit of stuff, which that was so neat. We have Merlin just standing in the balcony just drinking. Now, yes, they still have the same look for her from last episode, because in the manga, they have basically the chin basically burnt and a little bit up toward the lips, and a little bit of the cheeks. That's what they have for burnt in the manga. In the anime, it's just basically almost like a chin strap. Now, in my opinion, it's not really a big issue with me, the fact they changed this. It's by far a really big, obvious change if you read the manga. I'm sure some people may not like this change. Me, personally, I don't have a problem with it. No, because we don't even really see burn marks on this beautiful woman's lips. And she says that Elizabeth asks, can I heal it for you? And she doesn't want to heal. She wants to keep it there as a reminder for Escanor. And of course, I do add some bit of anime original stuff here. We have Elaine basically holding on to Bond's arm, preventing him from drinking more wine, which this is not from the manga. This is complete original stuff. Because this scene, the show here, which takes about let's say about 5 minutes this episode, it's roughly 1 page in the manga before they get to the next scene. Of course, they mention stuff like like basically like Meliodas is no longer the power as Demon King. He pretty much gave it up when he destroyed the powers. Elizabeth is free from curse. King is going to be true Demon King, and of course, he proposed to Deanne, which according to King, he was basically urged to do that by Bond, which he probably doesn't regret the fact he's proposed to her anyway because he loves her. Yep. So, and of course, Gother points out that he's got his memories back, and he's got his heart. Though the heart itself was destroyed by Mel, who I should point out though is not in this arc. Nope. Yeah, that's the thing. Mel, Zedros, and Glinda are these three characters who appeared prominently in like the last arc of the series. This one, nope. They're nowhere to be seen. They're not even mentioned. Which, if you read the manga, there's no explanation exactly what happened to Zedros after the Demon King arc wrapped up because you read this arc, it feels like a bonus arc. So then, of course, basically figure out what Marilyn was wished for. So basically, all the remaining 7 deadly sins, including Elizabeth, get transported where the Mother Pig is. Yep. Well, it's where Hawk's mom is, and basically Hawk jumping onto Meliodas. And then basically the place they transported to is the place they just battled Demon King, this magical lake. And I mentioned about the prince. So she brings out Arthur, and the sword Excalibur, which actually pierces his body, not in the Demon King arc, mind you. Oh no, this happened during the New Holy War arc. I think it happened just at the start of it, this particular. So he's basically been inside a room for a long time. He apparently got stabbed by one of the people who were one of the original demon. Of course, the guy who did this was killed by the Demon King possessed Zedros in this season. Yeah, he got killed off pretty much at the start of the season. Actually, toward the end of the New Holy War, got killed off. Actually, started the Demon King arc, he got killed off. So Merlin apparently removes the sword. Sword disappears. Don't know what happened to it. We see Cathay. We see that little creature that's basically Arthur's pet. We see that creature pretty briefly. It's the first that this creature's actually appeared in the series in quite some time. Like, the last time it appeared was when Arthur got stabbed. That was the last this creature appeared. And that was back about halfway through the season 3 of the show. And Arthur basically gets the sword removed. The wound gets healed up. And apparently he has got this hidden power, Chaos, in his body, which basically becomes the Lord of Chaos. Now here's the thing. It's almost like this is made completely on the fly. I don't blame Studio Dean for this. I blame the original writer for coming up with this particular thing of Chaos. There's been brief mentions of Chaos here and there over the course of the series. This arc, like, unlike Demon King, which felt like it was a build-up to this one, including the Holy War, yeah, a lot of the stuff for this series for Seven Deadly Sins has had a lot of really good build-up to it. This arc felt like, though, was very like last minute, and just an excuse to extend the manga for about a couple months. Because, excuse me, I think, in my opinion, I think that the arc was supposed to end with the Demon King arc. I think with that arc happened, I think for a lot of people, they probably thought that was the end of the series. But clearly that didn't happen. So, we unveil who this princess is. They talk about a princess. This is Princess of the Lake. Now I'm thinking, Princess of the Lake. I'm thinking, you mean the Lady of the Lake? The woman who gave, in the King Arthur lore, who gave King Arthur, who basically who basically held on to Arthur's sword after he died, and the sword was thrown into this lake by Lancelot from the King Arthur myth. Yep. And the lake itself explains Merlin's backstory, where it's pretty much spot on for the manga. There's a bit minor additions here and there, where the stuff relates to the Supreme One and the Demon King. So, basically, it mentions the whole thing about Merlin being a genius. That was something that's been clearly established since her debut. And apparently, she's wanted her father's love as between father and child. he wouldn't give it to her despite the fact that they got along perfectly fine prior to this. Which you're probably thinking, is this a retcon by part of the anime? No, the manga did the same thing too. So, and of course they had this thing where she turned briefly to an adult in order to please Meliodas because she was in love with Meliodas. Yeah, that's the thing. She's in love with Meliodas. Despite the fact he has eyes for Elizabeth, and she said she couldn't grow to hate him because Elizabeth treated her great when she was a child, and called her sis, which they don't call her that here, just basically Elizabeth. And Hawk's mom starts acting really weird, and then of course Meliodas basically brings up that fact he's around for 3,000 years. He's never heard of this stuff. And according to the I'm gonna call her a Lady Lake because that's what she actually is. She says that Merlin kept this a secret the whole time. She hid the whole thing from everybody, and with that shocking end, that pretty much kind of ended the episode right there. Oh yeah, and also we have this brief thing in this episode when Arthur sees Meliodas. He thinks he's the demon Meliodas in the previous season, and calls like a bunch of like these like creatures to pop up. Yeah, he did the same thing in the manga too. So, though the anime made it quite interesting looking here, make it look like he just warped reality itself in order to create these damn things. Which, that's chaos for you. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened this episode. It's pretty much like the start of this. Well, it's going to be, from what I can tell, a very brief arc. Because from what I can tell online, apparently this arc has to be just lasting 3 episodes. So, and if you're curious, though, is the manga rush this in 3 episodes? Not really, no. The arc itself is not very long. It's only 8 chapters. And this episode only went through, like, pretty much almost the first 3 chapters. So, not much left. This arc will be finished up by episode 99. And, of course, the epilogue will be covered in the final episode of the series. I'm looking forward to basically them doing that. Yep. Yeah. But in the case of this episode itself, it's a good episode. I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I'm sure some people basically, if they watch this episode, and if they did not read the manga, they'll probably be scratching their heads at exactly, what the heck am I watching? What's up with this dialogue mentioning about chaos? And is it feel as though the arc is basically being rushed? Well, I'm not blaming Studio Dean for this. Blame the manga. So blame them for that. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Stay tuned for my last anime review today because I was going to think of doing, I thought I had time to do our last, I'm going to say, of the Rise of a New World. Yep. Probably save it for tomorrow at this point, along with doing Case Closed, because that's coming back tomorrow. Yep. See you next video. Bye.